A couple of years ago, one of my colleagues sent out a short poll to all her CEO connections on LinkedIn. And she got, I guess, about 50, 60 responses. And the question was, what is most important for you as a CEO? Very simple question. And a large majority, I guess it was in the range of around 80% of them, said they want to leave a legacy. And I guess that's somehow understandable, because once you reach the top level of an organization, what else could you still try to achieve, right? Because career-wise, you reached kind of the top. Maybe there's a larger organization or something you could get to, but typically most of these people really have one more ambition in life, and that is to leave a legacy. And that's, of course, something that can take years to build. And the question then is, what kind of legacy? And while there's not one legacy that most CEOs pursue, I found that one of the most impactful legacies they can leave is a really strong success culture. Because a strong success culture, if that's achieved within an organization, not only does it usually support excellent strategy execution, but it's also typically longer lasting. It transcends usually the CEO, at least for some time. Cultures don't just come and go overnight. While it's true you can destroy a culture relatively quickly, maybe within a year or less, and it takes usually years to build a really great, strong culture, still, if it's really a great culture, any new CEO, any successor would be smart not to throw that out of the window. And so the question then is, how do we build an optimal corporate culture, if that's the legacy I want to build? And the key is really to recognize that corporate culture is not a purpose in itself. Corporate culture is really an enabler of strategy execution. Because quite often corporate culture is defined as the way we do things around here. And if you think about strategy execution, is how do you take the strategy, the concept, the plan, and execute it so that you get the results you are hoping for? You see, that's also about behavior. And so we could say that corporate culture, an optimal corporate culture, helps us to optimally execute our strategy. But it's also important that this culture of the organization is conducive to the strategy that we try to execute. So, for example, if one of the key success factors of your strategy is to be faster than your competitors, for example, in new product launches or whatever it might be, then you need to have a culture that's highly agile, that is operating fast, that sometimes cuts corner, but very consciously and very carefully for the purpose of being faster. Without creating any significant damage, and so forth. So if you are a CEO, you may want to think, what is the legacy you want to leave? And if you are not sure about it, maybe you start thinking about leaving a more optimal culture when you leave this role.